Sorry about that, guys. I've been working out a few kinks in here, and I just wanted to take a minute to make sure everybody's being communicated to and properly. So we've made a few changes in the studio, and I'm going to get to those. But first, I'm just testing out a new piece of equipment that I think is going to make a bit of a difference. I want to thank everybody and thank the sponsors. I appreciate the sponsors. This is another segment of Inside the Green Room. And it's becoming an important segment to me. We are going to bounce around where we do the show. I'm doing it in here because I'm testing something today, and I'm considering swapping out some of the headphones. So that's just some of the logistical housekeeping stuff. There will be some changes going on behind me, some different products, things like that. But there's a couple sponsors in particular I want to thank before we even get started. I appreciate all the brands equally that support the show. I want to give a special thanks to Gallo Technologies for the walls and everything behind us and all the guns being hung and all the work that they've done in here. Just when you think we're not making any strides this week, this all ties in. This week we had Secured on the show, which is actually somewhat of a competitor to Gallo Tech, and there's a mutual respect there between the two brands. But I wanted to prove to people, and a couple people brought this up to me, that we're not industry shills here. I'm willing to put on the competitors. I'm willing to put on all the different people, different optics companies. We actually did that twice this week. We had, I believe it was Bloodhound Optics. The show is sponsored by other brands that carry optics. So I'm not here to push anyone's agenda. Anybody who knows me personally knows that that's not going to be the case, not with this show. So I want to get that out of the way quick. So special thanks to the sponsors for understanding that, supporting that. That's a big part of the mission. Next thing I want to address, and I did a slightly wider angle. You guys can see some of the bar and some of the area behind me here to give you a little insight. We are making some changes. I mentioned back there, we're going to be making some changes around the bar. We're going to be doing some really cool stuff in here. I know it's a pretty cool studio in some people's eyes now, but I think the next evolution, and I don't want to get into what that's going to be, is going to be even cooler. So I appreciate everybody's support through that. I know there's been some audio issues, guys. I know it through some of the episodes. We're doing the best we can to limit those, to mitigate some of those mistakes, and to get this where we want it. It doesn't happen overnight. We're using a lot of new equipment, a lot of really great stuff. So just bear with us. There's a lot of different wiring going on in here every other day. I think in the meantime, when we hung the truss system that holds all the lights and everything up, I think we did that in between two episodes in like a 2-day stretch, if I remember correctly. So I appreciate it. I want to go over some of the guests too. But finishing rounding out the sponsors, I want to thank Advanced Warrior Solutions. Go check out their bags. Go check out their Instagram. I want to thank Enforced Weapon Lights. Matt over at Enforced Weapon Lights was kind enough to send over some gorgeous goodie bags for some of the guests. A lot of this show doesn't happen without the sponsors and without the brands that help. So support them if you can, and let them know where that support comes from. So appreciate you, all the sponsors. And I want to thank the guests. And this is a perfect transition. The last 3 guests have been awesome. I want to start kind of going back. We had the guys on from James Mason from Bloodhound Optics, and super nice guy. I mean, if you know the firearms business and you've met James, one of the nicest human beings you'll ever come across in your life. Just a very kind, smart, energetic gentleman. I've known him for a few years, not super well, but well enough. And I've always respected his opinion. So great podcast, awesome insight. He's kind of a guy who's got his hands on a lot of stuff, so he's cool to chat with. And he's kind of one of those dudes that whatever he's going to get his hands into, he's going to have some traction. And that's what I like about him. He might not be uber successful at it, but he's got his fingers in it, and he can tell you a little bit about what's going on with that industry or that particular area. And he's willing to try, and that's what matters. So. And I appreciate all you guys, too, that watch the show and support the show. Tap the thumbs up, share the shows. Without you guys, it's not possible. I want to thank Tom from Secured, who was on the show. I mentioned Secured earlier. He was, him and his marketing team came out. Great guys. Shout out to Seth. one of his top dogs. I had an awesome time hanging out with them. And I really enjoyed hearing their perspective on media, marketing, branding, and just genuinely loved rapping with them. So shout out to those guys. And that's a really cool episode. Again, some of these episodes that are very inwardly facing to my industry, I apologize to a lot of you guys that maybe don't understand some of the nuances, and I've had that criticism, so I do the best I can to try to define some of those things. But if you have questions, I'm actually watching the questions now, so if you guys have questions in the chat, ask. The last guest I had on that I was really probably the most excited I've been about having a guest in a minute, I had Lainey Fenney on. She's a cosplayer, super cool chick. Just chatting with her, I learned so much about a world I knew nothing about. And I don't pretend to know anything about cosplay. I've seen those people. Everybody probably says those weirdos that dress up and whatever. I get it. Hey, Tupac, I love that you're alive, brother. And having a cosplayer on, a lot of people would be like, that person's not legit. And I'm going to get to the whole legit thing in a minute, guys, because I haven't addressed it. But I'm gonna. Hang on one second. All right, I'm back. Sorry. Had to get my spitter. I want to get to the whole legit thing because it seems to be a hot button issue these days. So here's the deal. Having a cosplayer on, guys. I know people when they start podcasts, right? And this is going to transition into the legit thing. They say, I want to have a show or I want to be so legit. I'm only having legit people on. I know there's people in this industry that have done it. Kevin Brittingham started a podcast. Okay, I like Kevin. Q, the whole bit. I'm only going to have legit people on. Well, you did 7 episodes and it was over. I don't have $100 million, Kevin, but I mean, 7 episodes isn't a lot. Okay? If you're going to do a show, guys, you have to be willing to have variety on your show. So I don't mean to pick on Kevin. I actually really like Kevin. I like his style. But I'm saying there's no amount of money. There's no amount of resources. Money helps. It makes it easier. Money helps. But I get so sick and tired of hearing, I'm only going to do this legit. And I'm bringing this up because there's been this new emphasis on who's legitimate and who isn't, right? So recently, Dakota Meyer, love to have Dakota on the show. We have mutual friends. I respect his opinion. Came out with this long, speech that addressed, and I talked about it a little bit on the last segment. I didn't have enough information to really process it. I know exactly who Dakota was talking to. I know exactly the types of people he was talking to. And I think everybody else does too. But I think you have to be a little open and understanding too. It came off bad. And that's all I'm going to say about it. It wasn't a great PR move. Not that I think he gives a fuck, because I don't think he does. But he kind of came off like, if you weren't snapping necks overseas, you shouldn't be a gun owner. And I'm paraphrasing. I butchered it. But that's kind of how he came off. And sometimes all people remember is how you kind of came off. And yeah, I appreciate Ryan. I know a lot of you guys found me through Geeks and Gamers. I appreciate it. I love the Geeks and Gamers guys. They're right up my alley. My kind of thought process. I would probably admit that I'm a little more Cocoa Pebbles to their Fruity Pebbles in terms of how I do things. It's a little different over here. So I would say I might be the darker side of my friends over at G&G. But I love those guys. I love them. My favorite guests, some of them. Fast becoming my favorite guests. And great guys to talk to and very knowledgeable. Especially you. Oh, God, how could I forget Drunk 3PO? But there is this undercurrent, right, to the legit thing. And I want to address it, right? So, and I know Drunk 3PO knows what I'm talking about. There's too many people out there trying to put a definition on what is the defining moment of your manhood or your toughness or your I'm this and I'm that and this is why. Okay? And there's a huge problem with that. if you constantly search for definitions, like ways to fit things into a box, whether that's constructs of what you think a person should be, how someone should act, what they what they should wear, like what does an operator wear, what does this wear, what does that wear. Listen, it's going to be a long afternoon, and whether you're Dakota Meyer or Jesus Christ, putting definitions on every little thing to what makes them fit in a box that everybody deems makes you the man in that industry is fucking crazy. Okay? And anyone who participates in that is an idiot. Okay? There's no way to define what makes you legit as a human being just trying to exercise constitutional rights. Okay? And this is one of the reasons why I always say the gun industry will fail. Tupac Shakur says there is those who only thrive on validation. There's some truth to that. And like I said, I'm glad Tupac's still alive. There's some truth to that. There's a lot of truth to that. Some people just constantly seek this evaluation and then the validation right after. So it's kind of like when you say like to a woman, like you're just chumming the waters, or the woman says to the male, you're just chumming for compliments, right? You're fishing is the term they use. So some people just want that evaluation to reach that validation. So I think I'll give some people credit, Tupac. I think that they play a little stupid along the way too. They just want someone to say, oh, Dakota, he must be right. And I don't think what he said is what he meant. Now, Rad's Arms did a hilarious, and I'm trying to get him on, and I'm going to get to guests coming on. I'm going to get to that point. I want to get there. He did a hilarious piece that broke down that video. It was really funny. And then he was on, and look, it's all in good fun. I know what Dakota, I have a good idea of what he meant. And I'd love to have him on the show to explain it. I think it'd be great. So if anyone knows Dakota Meyer, please reach out. I know Crispy knows him well too. I should reach out to Crispy. But to anyone that listens to this, I'd love to have Dakota on and maybe share his thoughts with the community. And I think he would clarify as to what he meant. And I think he already has to an extent. But future guests and guests I have on, I try to treat the show like Switzerland, just so everybody knows and everybody watching kind of understands. I try to treat it like Switzerland. It's an island that people can come on and people can talk. I know in our industry, in the firearms business, there's this weird culture of like, why would they have that person on? Oh my God. I can't believe it. Have you heard about them? Nobody cares. Okay? Nobody cares. Worry about yourself. The firearms industry is weird like that, where everybody cares about where everybody takes a piss. It's so strange. It's really because these people, most of the people don't have like these great normal lives. They're just kind of boring, so they get all wrapped up in everybody's BS. They should go out and train more. They'd feel better about themselves. But that's all I'm going to say about that. And Dakota's welcome on anytime, and so's anyone. I mean, like I said, the show's Switzerland. So as far as future guests go and things like that, I got some great stuff I'm working on. It's not a mystery to my Geeks and Gamers crowd, to everybody out there. I'd love to have Jeremy from Geeks and Gamers. I'd love to have Jeremy from The Quartering. There's a few guests I'm working on right now that I think will be out sooner rather than later and will happen, that I'm pulling together. So I'm excited about that. I have Elliot Marshall coming in Monday, black belt businessman, super cool entrepreneur, super cool dude, very capable human. Love talking to him. I got another couple of guests lined up that I'm excited about. That there's two in particular I don't want to get into. I'm nervous to talk about. I have had some interactions with Gina. I would love to have Gina on. This is not a mystery. Drunk 3PO knows that. Everybody knows that. I'd love to have her on for you guys and have a chat with her more about where it's going. So that's something that could be in the cards in the next few weeks. And I like exploring areas that I know nothing about, okay, that are fun spaces, different cultures. For a long time, I've wanted to kind of talk about the cosplay thing. I think cosplay is an interesting genre and a lot of fun. And I think, Lainey was a great guest for that. And that's a cool episode to listen to. So I'm very interested in those things as the show evolves. And I want to take feedback from you guys, okay? One of the reasons I started the Green Room segment was to kind of get a little bit of feedback from you guys as to what I could do and what could be fun. What's up, Ryan? What's up, John? So I'm curious to hear from you guys. I am Tom DeBlas, the black belt, will be in here in July. He's probably the furthest one out that I'm announcing that's coming on because Tom is a really, really cool, fun dude. And if you haven't started checking out his content, he's kind of, a little bit controversial in the sense that he's an outspoken, well-known black belt, which to begin with is a little different, in some ways. But Tom's phenomenal, and he's got tremendous insight into combat sports and just training and super cool outlook on the country. And my goal with a lot of you guys, especially, Bicycle Butt Cheeks, that's the best name. My goal with a lot of you guys, especially even the Geeks and Gamers guys, is a lot of these people that I have on, they have their own following, their own subsect, their own genre that they have. Check these guys out. You might like them. And they're into a lot of the things you guys are into. And believe it or not, when you talk to these guys behind the scenes, I have a whole nother wall here of lightsabers and all kinds of weird. Everybody's into what they're into. And it's always funny to me to see the first thing people grab off the wall or the first thing people want to do, whether they want to drink, whether they want to shoot guns, blow stuff up, do whatever. I love it. I think it's a lot of fun, and it's interesting to see people's personalities come out when they are in the studio. I know I didn't have Laney in the studio, but when they're in the studio. So I'm looking forward to a lot of that coming up. It's going to be a good summer and a good summer of episodes. And I appreciate all you guys that support the show, everybody that comes into the lives. Without you guys, nothing in this show is possible. So when I get the super chats and I get all that stuff, it's tremendously helpful. So I thank each and every one of you that do support the show. I want to thank the Warrior Poet Society Network. If you guys haven't checked out the WPSN, please go check it out. The link's down below. If you use the code Bartolo, you can enroll today. There's a lot of great content there, guys, and that's started by a fellow creator. Go check it out. Really appreciate it. And I want to say kind of one thing in closing. I know I use this segment as a way to talk about some of the old episodes, brief you guys on what's coming up, and maybe get some insight along the way from you guys in the comments section as to what I can be doing better. I know I use this statement a lot, that as a firearms supporter, as a Second Amendment guy, whatever you want to call it, I call it just being more capable. If you're out there and you're training, I get a lot of questions, especially from some of you guys on the G&G side too, that are like, where do I even start? Listen, for a lot of you guys, just start by training. And it's not that I think this industry is doomed. I know I say the term doomed a lot. It's that we need to start. There needs to be a sense of urgency now to fix certain things. Okay. The ATF's about to nominate. And I addressed this in the last video, and I want you guys to think like I didn't, I'm readdressing things I addressed. I don't have a lot to say about Chipman. It's just, I don't have a lot to say about Chipman as an ATF director. That is a bamboozling that I can't even get into. So we're not going to change that. The guy's going to get nominated. I know they're searching to try to figure out if he lost his gun or something, because that could probably be the death knell. Like, what could be the one thing that they could not get the guy nominated on? He'll probably get nominated. It'll be close, but he'll probably get nominated. And it is what it is. And he's an instrument of the policies that we create. But the reason I say we're doomed, and I think all you younger guys understand this, is when I look out there, there's so much opportunity to create meaningful, great content that protects and guides our industry. Okay? And I look at a lot of, I do a lot of comparative analysis as to, how free speech is marketed, how, certain things are pushed out there, pro-choice, Roe v. Wade, and the way a lot of these things are pushed to the forefront and the money that's behind them. We could be doing a far better job. I think a lot of our, I guess you'd say, run institutions or formal institutions, whether you want to call that the NRA, NSSF, what happens is sooner or later the money starts coming in. Sooner or later they start hiring people's nieces and nephews, and sooner or later it goes to shit. I'm not saying it's there, but do what you want. Tupac said, networking is one spec of your show I like. You're open to bringing someone on, and the content is helpful. Thanks, Tupac. I mean, I try to do that. I try to let that. I'm trying to do a better job, too, of letting them talk. I know people say in the past, like, I'm saying too much, so I tried to start this segment to kind of give people my thoughts that want to hear. Because believe it or not, there are like 6 people out there that care about, the 20 minutes that I spend here with you. So I try to give people my thoughts, like, what do you think about that? And I'm like, I keep my mouth shut because you guys tell me to shut up while the guest is on. I have an idea. John and I guess playing a Time Crisis or Virtual Cop, a light gun arcade game. I wanted to get arcade games in here, Tupac. I thought about it. So I'm working on that. Space gets limited when you start to get crazy like me and you want to have like full jumpy houses in the studio. I am working on giving away a trip here. I've hinted at it before. We've teased it. It's getting the graphic done and pushing it. I know I've talked about it. That's going to happen. We did give away a thermal. We actually gave away a thermal. It's crazy to talk about this. We gave it away on Drunk 3PO's stream, and I guess the guy was over the moon. He was excited. He got it. Confirms that it's sent out. I try to stay out of my own giveaways. And the reason I try to stay out of my own giveaways is we get too many of you guys that are like, it was fixed. I told you. I try to stay out of it. The more I stay out of it, the better. 3PO will tell you I didn't even want to. Jay will tell you I didn't want to get involved. I didn't want to know who you gave it to. The less I know, the better. But I love those contests. I love giving something back to you guys every now and then. We will do a trip out here at some point. And maybe I'll get someone to produce the show. I don't know about a range day too, Ryan. It's a lot. Let me think. I would do a range. Let me put it this way, Ryan. To sweeten the pot, I would take someone to the range. It's easier if I do it indoor. Geographically, where I'm located, right by the strip, to do something that would be the show and what I have in my mind of what I would do with the guest that day in terms of like having them maybe guest appear on the show, talk. It would be maybe tough to throw a range day in there too, like a full range day the way I would want to. Let's put it that way. But we could do like an abbreviated version of some sort for sure. That would be something maybe I would do because I would want to do it right. Maybe I would do a live like this and we give it away in one of these forums where like we'll hype it one day and maybe raise a few bucks so I can do it the way I want without sponsors and we can get somebody out here the right way. What do you guys think of that? Let me know. That's how I'd want to do it. Probably raise like $500 would be logical. It's not that much, but just to kind of keep too many sponsors out of it and put together a goodie bag and everything else for the guest. I think it'd be a lot of fun. And who doesn't want to come to Vegas, right? So I appreciate that. I am having Tactical Carl on the show. He's one I wanted to bring up. Great guy, hilarious, awesome. Looks like one of the funner instructors out there. A lot of fun. So I'm looking forward to that. So I appreciate you guys, and I hope this segment addresses some questions you guys have and just the overall makeup of the show and the direction and things I'm trying to do. I love that you find the networking component in it, Tupac, because I think the networking component is a huge one. And I think people just have to learn when you're being a podcast host or conversationalist or whatever it is, genuinely being open to the ideas, that someone else has or what they're trying to do is that you can hate them after, but I think you have to have that initial conversation, right? So people have asked me, like, would you have a leftist on? Would you have this one on? Would you have that one on? I would love to have everybody on in a perfect world. Not saying we're going to sit around and sing Kumbaya by the fire, but I'd love to have everybody on. So my invites are out there. I've extended the invite very openly to many folks. I know Jeremy from Geeks and Gamers will eventually be on the show. That is being worked out. That will happen. I know at some point we will get, the guys back out here, Ryan from RK Outpost and some of the other guys from the G&G squad. So I'm looking forward to that and potentially a round table. It's coordinating all that and having somebody out to have it just be perfect. I say that laughing because it's never perfect. So we're working on it all. And what those gifts would look like. Basically, the more you bring sponsors into any situation, the more it could go really well or it could get potentially fucked up because you have to figure out how everybody's going to get their love. So I'd rather raise some of the money outside of it. So maybe we'll do that. And maybe we'll start next week. I'm going to do an In the Green Room segment that maybe we'll launch that off. I appreciate all you guys, and I know a lot of change is coming around the show in terms of the studio and certain things we're doing. So be patient and bear with us. I appreciate all you guys that leave likes and comments and everything on all the different episodes and share the different episodes with your friends, and particularly reviews on all the episodes. I want to thank a few other sponsors that I didn't thank in the beginning. Pulsar Thermal Imaging Technology is coming down in price. Go check out Pulsar. They sponsored the recent giveaway on Drunk 3PO's live stream. I want to thank 6 Hour for always supporting the show and being someone I can lean on for help. I want to thank the UFC, and I want to thank Microtech Knives, by the way. If you guys haven't checked out Microtech Knives, Ryan Kennel has one. 3PO has one. They're great blades. Gina, whenever she comes in, she's going to get one. We try to give them out to most of the guests. We do the best we can with what we're given. Appreciate all you guys, and I appreciate all the sponsors. So go check them out. Go leave a comment. When you guys get the opportunity, leave a comment under one of their segments. I want to address one last thing before I shove off. It's the bottom of my list. People ask me all the time who else they should watch or who they should support. I get that all the time. And Ryan, you just said it. You said, be yourself. Fake people suck. That kind of jogged a thing with me. I do my best to kind of just enjoy everybody's content out there. And if you notice the tone of a lot of my posts and the things I do, especially in my stories, they're sarcastic. I don't take myself that seriously. I just enjoy the company of really cool people, and I think I have really cool friends. And they're way cooler than I am, and I enjoy doing a show and having them all on. So if you guys have suggestions of who you want to have on or who you think would be a great guest, I'm always all ears. When I get a DM, I'll give you a little insight, and it's someone saying, hey, John, I really think you should have this person on. I enjoy their stuff. It goes far with me. I answer those people. Just so you know, 99% of the time I answer those people if I can. And I do my best to answer them. And I hope you guys like the content. I hope you guys like all the stuff. I appreciate everybody. And I thank you guys. You guys are a lot of fun. And I wouldn't have any other audience. So I thank you guys. I thank the Warrior Poet Society Network. Go check out all the sponsors. Go check out everybody that supports the show. And leave reviews. Check out X-Ring. I'll check out X-Ring. I'll check them out. So I appreciate you guys. Appreciate everybody. And do me one favor. Anybody who watches this, thank each other once in a while. Show some support to a random person. Get tired of seeing the shitty-ass comments, but thank you. And thank you to everyone who listens. We're going to sign out. Thank you to Pinkbox and all the sponsors. So we're out.